Hi everyone, and welcome to a video that's going to be a visual and descriptive guide on the topic of how to store and properly maximize your vehicle storage. This video is probably mainly going to be of interest to the special vehicle collectors, but if you want to save a bunch of your modded street racing or lowrider cars, then this could be of interest to you as well, or just having a cool collection of vehicles in general. Why not give it a try? Even if you do not fit into any of these categories, and I'm sure that this video will be interesting to watch nevertheless because it shows some hidden features that are often overlooked by the vast majority of the GTA gamers. First thing I'm going to do is split up the video into 4 different sections, so you could always skip to the relevant section of the video if you want, but I recommend to watch all the sections because it can really benefit you of all the features that are available in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Okay, in a nutshell, there are 4 ways to maximize vehicle storage. Number 1, filling up the Safehouse garages and successfully getting the absolute capacity, even if the garages say no more vehicles can be stored. Number 2, using the Mulholland Safehouse trick that will allow you to preserve vehicle space by giving you the ability to store 4 big cars into a tiny Safehouse garage. This is especially useful for cutting down on the space that a vehicle takes up. Number 3, using the Doherty Safehouse garage early. It is available even after the first ever story mission. Luckily there are some wanted level exploits that you can use that don't involve any cheat codes. And finally, number 4, using the police impound garages. Beware though that this is an advanced option and can take quite a while to get used to and master. Interestingly enough, the police impounds actually served a purpose to the original beta version of GTA San Andreas. However, Rockstar removed the missions involved for some unknown reason. The impounds still function, however, you are just never told about them or what they do during normal gameplay. Anyway guys, let's begin. Section 1. Absolute capacity of a GTA Safehouse garage. What do I mean by absolute capacity? Every garage in the GTA series has a certain limit to how many vehicles that the garage can naturally store automatically. You might eventually get a message saying you cannot store more vehicles in this garage. However, the interesting thing is that you can generally bypass this issue and store a few more vehicles regardless. The absolute capacity for each garage can be different, so be careful and make sure you have saved before you try this process. But what I can tell you is that every garage in GTA San Andreas has an absolute capacity of 4 vehicles. It doesn't matter what size or type the vehicle is. 4 vehicles is the absolute capacity of all the GTA San Andreas Safehouse garages. So the best way to bypass this message is to just park the car near the garage door, get out, and then get in, because when you're out of the car, the door will naturally open, and then when you get into the car, quickly reverse in, like that. So there you go guys, you can also use a vehicle to jam the door open, but that is basically the gist of how you get the absolute capacity of vehicles in a garage. And there you go, 4 vehicles in the Grove Street garage. Section 2. Mulholland Garage Safehouse trick. First thing you need to do is find a packer truck like this with rails on the back. You can find one of these in the ocean dock area, as you can see. Now you have to drive this packer all the way to the Mulholland Safehouse, which is right up here. Bang. Anyway, I was going to say, this section doesn't give you a higher storage capacity, but merely just allows you to preserve space. So instead of putting in 4 big vehicles in a medium-sized garage, you can put 4 big vehicles into a tiny Safehouse garage by using the roof of the Safehouse garage itself, which is really neat. So the first thing you want to do is store a vehicle inside the Mulholland Safehouse garage. Now go to Ocean Docks and find a packer truck, like I have. You won't miss it because it is a big car carrier looking vehicle and it will eventually spawn if you look long enough. When you have found your packer, then what you need to do is take it back to the Mulholland Safehouse garage, which can be a treacherous drive if you haven't done it before, but don't worry, I'll give you some hints right now. Always use the outside of the bends to reduce the risk of wheel slipping. With a bit of patience, you'll get the packer in safe hands back to the Safehouse. So I'm going to go to the outside of this bend as well. Now here it will look like that the packer cannot make it up, but it will. It'll just drive extremely slowly up this bend, but it will be moving. So just keep on the road and eventually you'll get to the top. It really is a treacherous drive, isn't it? Very soon we're going to get to a turning, and I normally go beyond the turning because the packer's way too big to turn right. so I normally go up the hill and then reverse it back round. You can do what you want, but this way works for me the best. So just go beyond this turning, go right, up this hill, reverse down, but be very careful because you might hit a cop car. And now go up this road. And now we're going to have even more fun trying to get this to the safe house. We're going to go down another steep hill and then up another steep hill as well. Try not to drive the packer off the hill because you'll be in aggravating frustration. And now we just have to drive left up the driveway to the safe house. Sometimes the packer won't make it up, but if that happens, reverse out and try again. Eventually you'll get it. It's pretty tricky sometimes. And now just park it with the rails lining up with the roof of the garage exactly head on. Kind of like that. That looks good. Now you can see I've already got cars on the roof, so I'm going to do a demonstration of how to get them onto the roof. So basically, as you see, I've got the Phoenix in the bottom garage, and I've got comprehensive-proof Tampa, bulletproof fireproof Tahoma, and bulletproof fireproof Voodoo. So what I was meaning is you store a car in the bottom garage, like this Phoenix, and then you drive it up the packer to the roof, pretty much. I just found out that the Phoenix doesn't actually fit going up the packer. It can't get past those two bars, so I'm going to demonstrate with the Tampa instead. So pretend that I just had the Tampa in the garage below. I now drove it up to the roof like this. As you can see, fits nicely, like the other cars. And now what you need to do is to check and see that it's in the garage properly. And if it is, the garage will close, the cars will disappear. Now they are saved, legitimately. However, what is really interesting is you can actually save a seasparrow on the rooftop as well. I'll show you now. And this is how you would get up to the roof without the packer. Just climb onto this wall. It can be really frustrating sometimes, but eventually you'll do it. Now climb onto the roof. Now because I have 3 cars on the roof, I'm going to take one down. Because my recommendation is having 3 vehicles on the roof and 1 in the garage. So that's kind of the best way to maximize the space available. Yeah, so I parked the helicopter kind of like that, between the 2 cars, and if it's in properly, it'll be saved, just like normal. Now, however, you cannot store a Maverick up here. Just be warned, you can only store the Sparrows on the roof. No other helicopters will fit. And that's all you need to know for Section 2. Section 3, using the Doherty Safehouse garage early. This is a really convenient way of storing more vehicles at the start of the game from the get-go. There are many wanted level exploits that you can use to bypass the 4-star wanted level for getting into Badlands. The popular ones are the story missions, High Stake Lowrider, Just Business, and Lost Sepulcros. This is because they do not interfere with the Grey Imports mission, which means that the Grey Imports mission does not have to be completed to access these exploits, so more fireproof, explosion-proof vehicles can be stored this way. This is also really vital for storing vehicles in the impound garages as well, so definitely pay attention here. I'll explain the Just Business and Lost Sepulcros exploits for avoiding wanted levels. Just Business clears wanted level and traffic, whereas Lost Sepulcros clears only wanted level. Use this information to decide which one is more useful to you, since the Lost Sepulcros exploit is slightly easier to handle. And in terms of the police impound garages, doing the Lost Sepulcros exploit means you'll still be shot down by Hydras because it doesn't disable traffic, but the Hydras are the only force that will shoot you down. The police won't attack you, the SWAT won't come after you, the army won't come after you, it's just the Hydras. But with Just Business, no Hydras will shoot you down, so that's definitely a good advantage here. Just Business exploit. Do the mission like normal until you get to the fight with Big Smoke outside of the building. When you get here, basically shoot this guy, shoot that guy, and now shoot this guy. Make sure you shoot those 3 only. When you've done that, run and jump off the balcony and get away from the area, and Big Smoke will not die. He'll only die if you come back to the area, but I'll explain that a bit later. There is no traffic, and you will not get a wanted level, and you will not get shot down by any Hydras, so you can go to the airport, fly what you like, go wherever you like. but I do have to warn you to be careful of that region, because if you go too near the big smoke kind of region, then the mission will fail because you'll die. And if you're in unknown territory, 4-star, bang. And this Broadway is always parked here outside the gas station, which is pretty cool, since the only vehicles you'll find are spawned vehicles or vehicles in your garage. I'm just quickly going to show you how to fail the mission, just so you know for later how to fail it, but I'm sure you already know. So anyway, to fail the mission, all you need to do is just drive back to the region where Big Smoke is. As soon as he starts losing health, he will continue to lose health until he dies. This is what I warned you about when you were going to fly from the airport. If you fly over that region and you see his health declining, there's no point even carrying on with the quest, because it's very unlikely you're going to go and steal an aircraft and bring it back on time. You'll just get dumped with a 4-star wanted level, and then you'd have to dodge Hydras, which is never too fun. So yeah, just warning you about that. Eventually Big Smoke's health will go down and fail the mission. As you can see, mission failed. Smoke died. Now I'm going to show you the Los Sepulcros exploit. Los Sepulcros exploit. Do the mission like normal until you kill Kane and the rest of the ballers. Sweet will get into the Admiral. All you have to do at this point is do not get into the car with Sweet, but leave the graveyard, and now you have your no wanted level. Well, you do have your wanted level, but the police will not attack you, so it still counts as a no wanted level exploit. But you will be shot down by Hydras, so watch out if you're going to be flying an aircraft into unknown territory. I'll try and show you that police don't attack you. Here we go guys, here's a cop, and he'll just ignore you like nothing happened. There is, however, an exception to this rule. If you go into any building and you come out, suddenly the police will attack you, but this is not permanent. So to fail this exploit, just blow up the Admiral that Sweet is in. Couldn't be any easier. So now that you know how to use the exploits, choose the one that suits you. Get your chosen vehicle to this location here. To get to Badlands, the best way is to jump this river. You have to go really fast to do this, so it's best to use a fast motorbike. Even a Sanchez can do it, but a Faggio or a Pizza Boy cannot, so this is the best thing to do, is just get your fast motorbikes to the Doherty garage and leave your slow motorbikes here. So as you can see, I'm going to go really fast here. This is the no extra NRG 500. Bang, cleared the river like nothing else. And what you do now is just have fun with no traffic and drive all the way to the Doherty garage, and Smoke will not die because I've chosen the Just Business exploit this time. I like using both for different reasons. As you can see, I'm at the Doherty Safehouse garage now. Don't worry if you don't know where it is, I'll show you on the map in a sec where it is. I did show you at the beginning, but I'll show you again. As you can see, these are the motorbikes I transferred over here, which is pretty cool. So that preserves a lot of garage space. Anyway, on the map, this is where it is. It's Fierro. Pretty awesome, eh? To get back's very easy, because since you're not going to get a wanted level, you can pretty much just swim from the coastline all the way to the Santa Maria beach. And of course fail the exploit so you can then save your game. Anyway, that's it for section 3 guys, using the Doherty Safehouse garage early. Now, let's brace for the final, the advanced, the deadly, the misunderstood, chapter 4. Section 4. Using the police impound garages. As I mentioned earlier, this is the most difficult of the 4 sections and should only be used by the really keen vehicle collectors for the effort that it is worth to get things impounded successfully. The first thing, where are the impound garages located? Well, there's one in each city. There's one in Los Santos, which is in Pershing Square. The other one's located beside the Garver Bridge in downtown San Fierro. And the final one is in Las Venturas beside the Emerald Isle car park. And they all have an absolute capacity of 3 vehicles. But the really complicated thing about these police impound garages is they all behave differently, at least from my experience anyway. But I'll go over each impound and explain all the mysteries, and any other hints and tips that I can possibly think about. As you can see, this is the Los Santos police impound, located in Pershing Square. Out of all the impounds, this one is probably the most tricky to avoid getting a 3-star wanted level when sneaking inside, but luckily, due to the fact that these garages were part of the game's story, the police inside actually behave more like standard average pedestrians rather than cops. This gives an advantage that getting inside these impound garages is not too challenging. For all these impound garages, I'm going to show you how to enter, how to exit, and different ways of impounding vehicles, and also some other hidden traps you need to be aware of. I think for all these impounds I'm going to show you how to enter first, because that's also just as important as leaving, because if you enter wrongly you can still delete your vehicles. Also, it gives you an idea of what the impound is like inside, because they're all completely different to each other. But the biggest problem with this impound, as well as the Fierro impound garage, is that they are both lethal recycling machines. You'll store something inside them and find that it gets replaced by another vehicle, regardless of how well you stored it. And the reason is, only very certain vehicles can be stored in these particular impound garages. Only the hosepipe fire truck, the vortex, the ambulance, and any aircraft including planes and helicopters. Anything else will get discarded no matter how successfully you store it. But luckily this is not the case with the Las Venturas impound, as you can pretty much save anything you want that will fit inside, which is awesome, so don't give up hope yet. I'll explain more about the Las Venturas impound later on in the video. I'm going to show you 3 different ways to enter the Los Santos police impound. I'm just going to show you how to enter really quickly, so let's say you've already saved your vehicles. This is a good way to check them. After you've saved the game, just quickly run in. And make sure you do not turn the camera towards the impound zone, so just run in and kind of hug the wall on the inside like this. You are going to get a 3-star wanted level, but that's the whole point, it's just to check. And as you can see, my 3 helis are there, so I can pretty much say that I've saved them successfully. And there you go, 3-star wanted level. Right, I'm going to show you how to enter without getting a 3-star wanted level. You can either use a knife, but I always just use a normal weapon, because since these cops act like normal pedestrians, you don't always get a big wanted level. Well, you're certainly not going to be dumped with a 2-star wanted level like you would kill a normal cop. Right, if you get a wanted level at this stage, don't panic, just switch out to a melee weapon or no weapon and just wait for the wanted level to go. And that's what I'm going to do right now. Right, when you've lost your wanted level, let's proceed down the ramp. Now, as usual, you don't need to look at the impound zone with this garage. I don't know why, but you just don't need to. I don't know if it's my version, but I've always got away with not looking at the impound zone. So just keep looking forward. There's going to be 2 cops walking away from this police car in front of me. The police in the left-hand side corner, don't worry about them, because they won't see you if you do exactly what I do. Just let those 2 cops go round the corner there. And as usual, kind of hug the inside of this wall. And you don't need to look at the impound zone. And when you're ready, just creep round, kind of like this. And there should be 1 policeman that sees you. Just let him come towards you, and then just shoot him in the head to quickly finish him off. And if you did that well, then the police in the corner won't see you. But these cops will, but don't worry, they will see you. But the police in the other corner won't. Anyway, there's just 1 more after this. Bang. And there you go, guys, you have not triggered the 3-star wanted level, and my helicopters are safe. It just shows you do not need to look at this impound zone when you enter the Los Santos impound garage. It's just a quirk of this game. All the impound garages behave differently, and from a lot of experimentation, this is what I have discovered. That you do not need to look at the impound zone. However, when you leave the impound, after putting a vehicle inside, then you do have to look at the impound zone all the time when you leave. So it's really, really complicated. Now I'm going to show the distance you have to go to actually close the imaginary impound garage. Because look, the helis are still there. Eventually they'll vanish. Can you see? Just like that. That's opening and closing the impound zone. Don't worry, I'll go into more detail about leaving after storing a vehicle a bit later on. This is a very detailed guide, and for a good reason, because the subject of impound zones is massively complicated. And all these helicopters are fireproof and explosion proof. I impounded them a long time ago, because as you can see I've already unlocked the desert missions, which is pretty cool. So, yeah, they're going to explode? I don't think so. Pretty awesome stuff. Anyway, I'm just going to show you that you can enter the impound with a police car as well. But I wanted to go in manually just to show you the mechanics of how this particular impound garage works. It's very good to learn that way. Well, I had to do it many times to find this out anyway. I'm just going to show you as well that with any police vehicle, whether it's a enforcer, police car or police motorbike, you can just go into the impound naturally. However, the police will eventually notice that you're not a cop. If necessary, you can go a bit closer to the wall than that. This is just very quickly going in and going out. Okay guys, so far we've learnt how to enter the Los Santos police impound. Now I'm going to show you how to store vehicles inside and also how to exit safely so you don't end up losing the vehicles you've already stored. The first method of impounding a vehicle into the Los Santos impound is the pimping mission impounding trick, which can be activated by any Broadway. There's one Broadway parked near the gas station over here. So just get your desired vehicle near it and just get out. And make sure it's a vehicle that's properly eligible for impounding. You don't want to work hard impounding a vehicle just to find out that it gets discarded. As I said the list before, the hosepipe fire truck, the vortex, the ambulance, or helicopters and planes. And gone with the flash, you have just impounded your vehicle into the Los Santos police impound. Basically the way this works is that whenever you activate the pimping mission, the previous vehicle that you owned basically gets impounded to the nearest police impound to wherever the vehicle is. So obviously the Los Santos police impound is far closer than the San Fierro or the Las Venturas police impound. The strange thing is, when I obtained the Police Maverick and the News Maverick, I couldn't impound them using this trick for some odd reason. I can now, but when I first obtained them I couldn't do it. I think it's because they had some mission scripts still in them, because I stole them from a 4-star wanted level. Very strange, but anyway, I'm going to show you how to manually impound after this. But if you can, always do this method because it's so easy. And I'm just going to do the entering in quick, just to show you that it's impounded. So yep, hug the wall like that. After all this practice guys, you are going to be pros. It just takes a lot of practice to get used to this, and as you can see, impounded like a boss. Just in case if you had to manually put in the vehicle because the pimping trick didn't work, then the Los Santos police impound is probably the most difficult impound to do this. Because of all the guards, you're just going to get a 3-star wanted level really easily. So I'm just going to get in the normal way. Basically what you do is you save a tow truck in your garage, and then when you obtain your helicopter, or whatever you want to impound, you just land the helicopter near the garage, and then just tow the helicopter from the garage using your saved tow truck, and then get to the police impound, just like this. Now this is really complicated to explain, but in order to get the door open from the police impound, you need to use a police car, and you can always get a police car from the inside, or you could always steal the police car from outside. But I'm going to show you how to get a police car from the inside, just in case you don't want to hunt one outside. Now you've got to make sure you do not park your vehicles too close to this garage door, because when you open the garage door, the vehicles will be deleted if the garage door touches them while they open. So make sure that your car is far back like that. And now just enter like normal. Just get in the vehicles like I did to make sure that the game really registers that you had contact with them, you could say. Just sneak in like I did last time. So I'm just going to wait here for the 2 policemen to go a bit in front of the car. Now the police car that's drivable is all the way on the other side of the impound, where the impound zone is, where my helis are. So you're going to have to be extremely careful how you get to that police car, and you have to be extremely careful how you leave the impound, because I haven't actually gone into much detail on leaving the impound after you store a vehicle. Well, I'm going to demonstrate it twice, because I need to leave the impound with the police car, and then I have to leave the impound after I've stored my new heli. Yeah, complicated stuff. This is really serious. Obviously, if this is your first vehicle that you're impounding, you don't have to be careful at all. You only have to be careful if you've already stored vehicles in here. As you can see, I've got my 2 helis there. Yes, the Rain Dance is the heli I took out just to make this demonstration possible. So when you leave, always look at the impound zone like I did. Now you use this police car to jam the door open. And now you just tow your heli in. And because going in is really easy, you don't have to look at the impound zone at all. Leaving is always more dodgy with this one. However, not all of the impounds are like that. This is what I meant by behaving differently. So yeah, just go in like normal, as you've seen many times of how we enter the impound. we just go around like this. I don't care if those guys have seen me now, because to be honest I'm just going to impound this just to show you what to do. I don't really think it makes a difference how you park it, but I feel safer when I park it neatly first. I don't know, when it's like this I don't really feel safe. I guess it's a superstition, but it shouldn't matter. I'm probably going to rotate the helicopter around. So yep, I've just done that, just saved half a minute of film, and now it looks neatly parked. So when you think it's ready, what you need to do is you need to close the impound zone to make sure that the heli's saved before you leave the impound itself. So what you do is get your tow truck away from the impound zone. You do not want this to interfere, because if you do, it might discard one of the helis. Even though it's unlikely, you don't want to take the chance. So close the impound zone like this, and then open it again to see if the helis are there. Now this is another really weird quirk with the Los Santos impound. The rain dance will appear, but you have to close it twice sometimes. You'll see. Don't even ask me why that happens, it's just the way it is. And now you just leave the impound like I did with the police car, and your helis will be saved when you save the game. Right, just to make it absolutely final for the Los Santos police impound, when you put your heli into the impound, basically close the impound and open it again, like this, to make sure that the helis are still there. And as you can see they are. Now this is the way you leave the impound. You don't have to close the impound zone when you leave, you just have to hug the wall on the way out like I did last time. So you can see the helis don't disappear when I go beyond the wall like that. And just keep looking at the impound zone until you reach the ramp and then you leave. I'm just going to go back in and back out again, just so you really understand what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to go in again. You don't have to look at the impound zone going in, so just hug the wall like I did last time, and the helis should be there, and they are. You also don't have to use a vehicle to leave, and when you leave you don't have to close the impound zone. You just go around the wall like this, make sure you keep looking at them, and when you go up the ramp then you can look straight again. And this is exactly how you deal with the Los Santos police impound. So if you survived this one, then congratulations. But another thing I forgot to mention, be very careful when you do the story missions, because your impounded vehicles are going to try and be eradicated all the time. And there's only one way to prevent this, but I'll go over this later on in the video. And as you saw, the rain dance quirk happened again. See you in the San Fierro impound. Right guys, this is the San Fierro police impound garage. As you can see, it's next to the Garver Bridge in the downtown area. In terms of vehicle storage eligibility, this garage is exactly the same as the Los Santos one. So only the fire truck with the hose pipe, only the vortex, only the ambulance and only aircraft can be saved here. But since the garage door is really wide, I recommend that you save planes here. That's what I've done. And in terms of handling, I'd say this garage is a bit of a mixed bag, because to enter the impound is far easier than the Los Santos one. However, saving vehicles in this impound can be an absolute nightmare, because when you close and open the impound zone, even if you look at it, there's a small chance that your vehicle could get overwritten by the random vehicle spawns that happen in the garage. Because about 5 or 6 vehicles spawn around the impound zone, so it can really screw up your progress. But the good thing is once you have impounded it perfectly, then you're pretty much done. It's just getting it impounded is the difficult part here. And especially if you're at the beginning of the game, you can't use a pimping trick to impound here. I think it's because of the 4-star wanted level you get when you travel to Badlands before you unlock it, and also if you're doing a cop exploit mission, you're already running a mission, so you can't activate the pimping mission. So that means you have to impound these fireproof, explosion-proof vehicles manually instead. So that can make it even harder. But don't worry, I'm going to show you everything that I showed you for the Los Santos impound garage. How to enter, how to exit, and how to impound vehicles. Right, let's go. This part is specifically how to enter the impound. Just shoot this guard here. It's very easy, just use a long-range gun or something. And then jump over the wall. And now you're in the impound grounds. Already a lot easier than Los Santos. When you go in here, just hug the inside of the wall down this ramp, just like in the Los Santos impound. And then gradually creep round here. and walk towards the corner over there. Just shoot these guys, rotate the camera, and then move towards the corner. Go round here, stop before you go round the next corner, because not only does it reduce the chance of you getting a 2-star wanted level, because you're waiting a bit longer between each kill, but you have guarantee that you'll get your vehicles spawned successfully. And as you can see, I've got my fireproof, explosion-proof, Leviathan, Hydra, and Rustler, just like that. Isn't that awesome, guys? Anyway, I'm going to show you how to actually impound the vehicle now, and then I'll show you how to leave this impound safely. This is an example of how to manually impound a helicopter with a tow truck. Yup, so here I am towing the Leviathan. I'm basically just doing an example, but basically what you do is you'd be on a cop exploit normally, so you don't get a wanted level, and you just save a tow truck in the Doherty garage, land the Leviathan near the Doherty garage, and then tow it here. It's pretty much what you do. But anyway, all that's pretty common sense. I've already given you a lot of the guidance before. It's just using a combination of all these hints to obtain these vehicles. So what we do is you just kill these 2 guards. If you get a wanted level, just let the wanted level die like that, and then we'll get into the impound grounds. So it's already a lot easier than Los Santos. And the cool thing is about this impound garage is that you can actually force the door open from the inside. You don't need a cop car this time. For some odd reason, you can force the door open. I'll show you how to do it. So what you want to do is park your tow truck pretty near. Because I have 2 other vehicles in the garage, I need to actually hug the inside of the wall. That's why I parked quite near the inside of the wall. So what you want to do now is turn around, face the garage door, go down and keep facing it. But don't run, just walk. When you get to about here, it should start opening. It sometimes doesn't, but most of the time it does. I think it depends on how close you park your vehicle to the garage door. And now, you can just drive the tow truck down the ramp, which is freaking awesome. Oh shit. Damn, yeah, the Leviathan is so big that if you don't drive it down fast enough, it can get jammed in this sort of tunnel. So the only way you can kind of get out of this predicament is to unbuckle it and then sort of rebuckle it and force it down. It just shows how big of a heli it is. You won't believe it, guys, you can fit a cargo bob down here, but I wouldn't recommend it because you can't store it properly. It kind of appears halfway through the ground if you impound it, which is really sad because I would love to have a fireproof, explosion-proof cargo bob, because I've already got a fireproof, explosion-proof barracks, so having the army collection would be freaking awesome. And by the way, the barracks is impounded at Las Venturas because you can actually impound anything you want there. It seems, anyway. There doesn't seem to be a limit. As long as it can fit, then it's okay. So as you can see, I'm just hugging the wall as usual, not looking at the impound zone too intensely. And I find with this impound garage, if you take your time, it's more likely that your vehicles will spawn. If you rush in, they won't spawn properly. So just take your time and go in, and then they will. As you see, my fireproof, explosion-proof Hydra and fireproof, explosion-proof Rustler. So yeah, I took the Leviathan out for a demonstration, but it's good practice because I really understand how to leave these impounds without losing the vehicles, so it's really good practice. Because I'm still a bit of an amateur at this, it's very complicated, and I'm learning a lot just by making this video. I'm probably going to know more than I used to just from making this video. It's really tested my knowledge of this game to such an extent. So what I'm going to do now is try and get the Leviathan neatly in the parking space, because I have this slight superstition with this garage. I've had so many bad memories and moments, so I'm just trying to get it neatly parked. I don't think it's a big deal. As long as it's a bit over the yellow line, it should be alright. And there's one really important thing I have to say. Before you close the impound zone, you have to move everything else out of the impound zone and blow it up. Because there are just too many cars that you've been in. It just completely screws everything up if you don't do this. So these are random vehicle spawns. These are the deadly vehicle spawns I was talking about before. Yeah, and unlike the Los Santos police impound, with this one you actually have to close the impound zone before you leave. And there's one really important thing as well. You mustn't reopen the closed impound zone because you'll just get more random vehicle spawns appearing. And it will just completely mess everything up. But don't worry too much about it, because I will do a demonstration that will show you what will happen if you close and then reopen the impound zone. And this is exactly why it's not the right thing to do. You're supposed to close the impound zone but then leave whilst it's closed. But when you reopen it, something terrible will happen, and I'm going to show you now. So, closing the impound zone, you have to go quite far away. Yeah, I'll just go on foot because it's a bit easier to control. And as you can see, impound closed and opened again. And guess what happened, guys? You'll end up getting another vehicle spawn coming, and you'll have to separate the car from that aircraft and blow it up. Nightmare. So yes, just to clarify, I'm going to show you exactly how to leave this impound zone and completely save your vehicles successfully. The first thing you have to do is, when you've got your vehicles in line, get all the random vehicle spawns out of the way and blow them up. I did show you this before, but it will be very helpful if I show you in detail what to do. And when you blow them up, you need to make sure that they get erased from the environment. So don't do anything until the blown up vehicles completely vanish, because if they don't, you'll have a big problem outside the impound, and I'll demonstrate that later. So I'm just checking. There are no more random vehicle spawns in the impound zone. The impound zone is now safe, completely safe from any problems. So the first thing I'm going to do is wait for this blown up vehicle to vanish. A good way to do this is just look away from it for a long time, and eventually it will disappear. If you're having a hard time getting your vehicles to vanish for any reason, what you can do is just run kind of away from it, keep looking away from it, and this will kind of force the game to delete it, because obviously compared to the intact vehicles, it's data that needs to be erased first anyway. So there you go, vehicles vanished. Now, this is the time when you can leave the impound safely. So I would just use this police car because it's always open and free for you to drive. So what you do now is you have to close the impound zone before you leave. You must close the impound zone. So just go down here. You can take your time so you don't crash into the wall. But there'll be a pillar here. Just go around the pillar like this. And now keep looking at the impound zone like this, and then go up the ramp. It's pretty much the same as leaving the Los Santos impound, but this time you actually have to close the impound zone. With the Los Santos one you didn't. So if the garage door closes and it doesn't open again, that means your vehicles are successfully saved inside. As you can see. Now I'm going to go back in and show you that the vehicles are already there still. Remember how we enter? We kind of hug the wall like this. Don't go in too fast because that will prevent the vehicles from spawning properly. Just go around this corner, go towards this corner, and then before we go around the next corner, stop for about 5 seconds, and then go smoothly, and you'll see completely fine. And now, because there's a random vehicle spawn, I have to get it out and blow it up and make sure that the blown up vehicle disappears. I'm just going to give you a quick example of what happens if you don't blow up the random vehicle spawns. When you leave the impound garage, something very strange happens. So this is why you have to destroy the random vehicle spawn. So what happens if I leave without blowing it up? Well, we're going to find out. So as you can see, I've left the random vehicle spawn there. I'm going to close the impound zone. As you can see, I've closed it, and I'm going to leave exactly the way I usually leave. And you will be very surprised with what happens. So as you can see, I've just left the impound garage, and now I'm going to wait for the garage door to close. And this is the very reason why you have to destroy the random vehicle spawns and get them erased from the environment. And as you can see now, the garage door is not going to shut properly. And this is a big disaster because if you go away from the impound garage, your vehicles will get deleted inside. So this is not a good way to save your vehicles successfully. And that is exactly how you deal with the San Fierro police impound. I know it's pretty complicated, and I'm sorry if it wasn't clear enough, but I'm sure with a bit of practice and with a bit of reviewing this video from time to time, you'll understand it perfectly. Anyway, there's only one more impound left for me to cover, which is the Las Venturas police impound, and luckily It is probably the simplest impound of them all. So yeah guys, as you can see, this is the Las Venturas police impound garage. The last police impound garage that I have to cover for this chapter of the video. Now luckily, this is the best police impound garage because not only is it the easiest to use, you can actually impound anything you want. I mean, any vehicle that will fit into this garage, you can impound. So no need to be restrictive on the hosepipe fire truck, vortex, ambulance, aircraft, etc. You can save anything you want compared to the previous two impound garages, which was Los Santos and San Fierro. So yep, the best was saved for last. So as usual, I'm going to show you how to enter, how to exit, and how to impound vehicles. Let's do this. As you can see, I'm at the Las Venturas police impound now, and as usual, I'm going to show you how to enter first because it's just as important as exiting. Now, you don't even need to jump over the front gate, which makes this probably the easiest impound to enter. You can just bypass both of the guards, and you can just jump over the fence over here, and you will not be spotted at all. Could not be any easier. So just go down the ramp here, and when you enter the doorway, don't worry about where your camera is pointing. The impound zone is not on this floor. Just take out these two police officers here, and you'll be fine. The impound zone is actually on the floor below, but however, when we enter the floor below, we need to make sure we look at the impound at all times. So this is the only police impound where you actually have to look at the impound zone whilst entering. So keep that in mind. Always face that wall there. When you get to the bottom, turn around, run towards the impound zone, and your vehicle should spawn with no problem. As you can see, I've actually saved a fireproof, explosion-proof enforcer and fireproof, explosion-proof barracks in here, as well as a seasparrow. So there's a big flexibility and choice of this one. Now I'm going to show you how to impound vehicles into this garage. And unlike the Los Santos and San Fierro police impound garages, there are actually 3 different ways to impound vehicles into this garage. Impounding manually, the pimping impound trick, and also the Emerald Isle car park impounding trick. Now the Emerald Isle car park is just right next to the impound zone, as you can see. Just drive your vehicle up to the first floor, and this is much easier than the pimping trick because it also works if you're on a 4-star wanted level. So if you try and impound vehicles at the beginning of the game, this method will work flawlessly. However, unless the vehicle fits, it can't be impounded this way. So just get the vehicle into the parking space like this, and this is my fireproof, explosion-proof enforcer. I took it out for a demonstration, so just park it there, and just make sure that it's been impounded by checking it again. Ooh, magic trick, gone. Now I'm just going to show you that it's been impounded into the Las Venturas police impound. It is the neatest way to impound a vehicle here. Now the barracks does not fit into this car park, so the only way to impound the barracks would be to impound it manually, or using the pimping trick, of course, but obviously the pimping trick won't work if you haven't unlocked this region of the map already. Now I know with an enforcer you can just drive it in normally, you can just drive it into the police impound, but I was just doing an example of any random vehicle. You can just simply impound it using the Emerald Isle car park trick. Even with the seasparrow, you can just push it into the car parking space and impound it that way, which is really awesome. So yep, look at the impound zone when you're entering the floor. Turn around, run towards your vehicles, and there they are. And just proving to you, my enforcer has been impounded like a boss. There you go. Now I'm going to show you how to impound manually a vehicle that can't fit into the Emerald Isle car park. For example, this barracks cannot fit into the Emerald Isle car park, so you'll have to impound it manually. Or use the pimping impound trick. So just jump over this fence here, and you can sneak behind the first guard. And if you get a cop, you can just wait right back here until you lose your wanted level. So go as far back as you can, because actually you have a less chance of getting a wanted level the further away you are. Make sure that your vehicle's parked near the gate, because when you go and get the vehicle, this cop can respawn if you go too far away from the impound. So I hope that makes sense, because if you park your vehicle all the way to the end of the road and you come back, the guard will just be in this station again, and that would be quite counterproductive. So when this guard's down and you've lost your wanted level, just drive your vehicle in, like this. Just smash through the barrier like that. Now we have one more guard to get past, which is right here. Obviously if you're flying a heli you can avoid both guards altogether, but I'm just showing you how to impound, you know, a vehicle that's not an aircraft. So as you can see I got a wanted level. I think it's easier to lose the wanted level when you leave this station and you go back to the car park. Just like this. I mean, obviously, most of the time, the special vehicle collectors would have a 4-star wanted level right now, but they'd be on a cop exploit, so this would still count because these guys will still go after you, even with the cop exploit activated, because they act more like pedestrians and cops, so the cop exploit does not apply to these impound garages. So this information is still very useful. Luckily this bit's very easy. Just walk through the main door like this. Now deal with the policeman, just like this. And the police car you can drive is to the left of you, which is over here. Now you can use this to open the garage door, and then just drive your vehicle in. Since this door opens so slowly, you don't have to jam it, just get out the police car. And now get into your vehicle. Now you can drive it towards the impound zone. And you pretty much drive it into the impound zone exactly the same way as you'd walk into the impound zone. You always face the impound zone when you're entering the lower floor. So yep, as you get here, just turn around. Now because the turning circle of this barracks is terrible, I'm going to have to do like a 3-point turn. Just make sure that your camera's always facing to the wall in front of me. Always face that wall. Keep the camera facing that direction, turn around, and now keep it faced on the impound zone. When you go towards the impound zone, your vehicles should appear with no problem. As you see, I took the barracks out for a demonstration. It's really good practice, after all. And now I'm going to show you how to open and close the impound zone. So when you get your new vehicle into the impound, you can very easily open and close the impound zone to see if you've actually successfully saved your vehicle in the garage. And then I'm going to show you how to leave the impound completely so you can successfully store your vehicles. So the impound zone will close when you go over here. When you go back, it will open again. So it's a lot simpler than the other two police impound garages, Los Santos and San Fierro. This is definitely the easiest impound to use. Now I'm going to show you how to leave the impound zone successfully, either using a car or not. Close the impound zone on the way out, keep looking at it, turn around, and when you drive up the ramp, you can just face straight forward naturally. And when you're up here, the camera angle doesn't matter because you're not on the impound zone floor, and you have successfully saved your vehicles. Now I'm just going to go back in after I leave just to show you that the vehicles are safe. I won't be able to open the garage door with this police car, but you can always just go through on foot, and I'll show you that the vehicles have not vanished when you save them this way. So as you can see, the door's not going to open with this police car, so I'm going to get out and go on foot. I'm going to go down to the impound zone as well. As you already know, when you start entering the impound zone, make sure you keep looking at it all the time. So when you go down this ramp, keep looking at the impound zone, and when you turn around at the bottom, run towards the impound zone, and there are the vehicles, saved, snug and safe. I think you'll agree with me that this is the simplest out of all the 3 impounds. Now I'm going to show you how to actually get fireproof, explosion-proof vehicles here, because you haven't unlocked this part of the map yet, and you have to try and get these road-based vehicles across the river without flying. And I'm going to tell you how to do that. It's by a process called undrowning. And undrowning will allow you to get any vehicle across the water without the use of a bridge or a boat. Right guys, time to go over the basics of the process of undrowning. Now I don't have a map showing all the undrowning spots, but if you want to find any more, just check out the GTA forums topic, undrowning spots, glitches and tricks. These are the 2 spots that I know about, and they're both really good, because I only really use the undrowning process to go from Los Santos to Las Venturas, but I never use it for any other route, because it's just not viable, or you can always get away with doing something else. Basically what we want to do is we want to get the vehicle from Los Santos to this area. Out of the 2 undrowning spots, this one's definitely the easiest one to use, so I'd use it if you can. It works for any vehicle, considering it's not too big. If you want to undrown really big vehicles, you better use the other undrowning spot. I mean, with my current GTA collection, I've got a way of only using these two undrowning spots, so it pretty much works for anything. Anyway, what you do is you just let the vehicle gradually sink, and then you dive underwater. Just let the vehicle sink a bit, because if you dive too deep and the vehicle hasn't started to submerge, it might vanish because you're too far away from it. Anyway, just swim down and go underneath the incline near where these starfishes are, and you should drop naturally like you've just gone into thin air, which is pretty cool. And this is called the undrowning zone, where it goes all coloured. So you need to get your submerged vehicle into this undrowning zone to actually undrown the vehicle itself, which is really cool. So what you do is you just push it like this. You'll notice that it has very unrealistic physics in some ways because it's underwater. But now when you push it into the undrowning zone, it will drop like a car would normally drop, and it would be like driving in thin air. So it's a really awesome trick, really convenient as well, because when you're trying to get to the locked islands early with these vehicles to Las Venturas, this is pretty much the only viable way of doing it, actually. Because I know with getting vehicles to the Doherty garage early, you can actually jump the river quite easily, or you could actually undrown. But I never undrown from Los Santos to San Fierro because it's extremely difficult, and as I said, you can always use the river to jump from Los Santos to Badlands. I was just showing you there where the undrowning zone was. Now I'm going to drive to the location where we can actually get the vehicle out the water. Now I'm doing this example with a tow truck because you can indeed save a tow truck in the Las Venturas impound. So if you get like a Maverick helicopter, you can't get into the parking space, you can always land the helicopter near the impound entrance, go down, retrieve your tow truck, come back up, and then tow the Maverick in. So it's really cool. Just drive up here, and you'll be out into Las Venturas. Take into account that you can use the police exploits whilst doing this, so even though you'd have a 4-star wanted level, you wouldn't be chased by the cops. Right guys, I'm now going to show you the second undrowning spot which I use. And for something big like the barracks, this is the spot you're going to have to use. I mean, I don't know what vehicle sizes really matter, but you cannot, and I repeat, you cannot undrown the barracks at the other location. I've tried many times, it just didn't work. Because the incline is too shallow, and there's not enough space to get enough of the barracks into the undrowning zone, so you've got to be a bit careful. And this one is really difficult to use, because it is extremely steep, really steep. I mean, have a look at the landscape here, and the vehicle keeps sliding down the hill all the time, so undrowning the barracks is really a bitch. Yeah, I didn't really do this too well. I kind of really misaligned the barracks, so it was really far away from the undrowning zone. But what I recommend you do is you just walk up without running, and you'll just gradually push the barracks up the hill. Make sure you're directly underneath the undrowning zone. But if you can, try and push the barracks to the side, otherwise it's going to roll down the hill really fast. I'll just do a demonstration of how fast it can roll down the hill, but it's really recommended that you push this sideways. But it's very difficult to push sideways, so I'm just going to do it like this and see what the hell happens. So as you can see, whoa, flip, flip. You can see, that's what happens if you get the barracks to roll down the hill. And sometimes rocks will appear, and then the barracks will get stuck inside them and you can't retrieve it. Anyway, if you manage to do that, then congratulations, you have undrowned your barracks, and now we have to get it all the way to that beaching location near the highway, and it's really tough to get there, but I know a few good tricks that will help you out. Right now I'm just going to show you where the undrowned zone is, because obviously I didn't really show it to you in detail, but it's right over here, as you can see. You definitely have a lot more space for something like the barracks. Okay then, let's now proceed to the beaching location. Be very careful because this terrain is extremely aggressive, really steep, and you won't believe how easy it is to tip your vehicle over. Which is why I always suggest using the other undrowning spot. If you can actually do it, use the other undrowning spot. Only use this one if you absolutely have to, because this one's a lot more difficult to handle. Because you have a lot further to go to get to the beaching location, and it's just a downright nightmare. Now for this bit, I would reverse up, because with a big vehicle you generally have a lot of traction when you reverse. So just reverse like this, eventually you'll get to the top. This shows you the rugged extremeness of the landscape that I was talking about. I mean, this is insane. This is like proper off-road style. So now turn your vehicle around and very carefully drive down the other side. It's insanely steep, almost vertical. Whew, wow. And hopefully I won't tip this up. Oh, shoot! Shoot, don't tip, don't tip. Phew, wow. Just shows even I can't handle this sometimes. It does take a while. Should be pretty easy from now on. That was probably the most difficult part. So just keep proceeding this way. Take care though, because even though the terrain looks flat, you might get the occasional bump or a rock that suddenly appears, so you have to be quite careful. And there you go. It's really dodgy, this terrain. And also, if you were wondering how I actually got the barracks in the first place, what I did was I activated a cop exploit mission, got myself to the desert near Las Venturas, went into the army base, got the barracks, and what I did is I got it back to Los Santos in a really unusual way. I basically manually pushed it off the bridge, you know, the highway bridge going from Las Venturas towards Los Santos, that kind of highway bridge that goes to the Red County area near Palomino Creek. Well, I basically drove the barracks kind of with half of its wheels on the side of the bridge and half of its wheels on the road, and when I got to the part where the Red County land was below the bridge, I kind of just used CJ alone to push it off. It was very tough, but it worked. But I'm sure you could undrown as well if you needed to. I mean, I will probably make a video on how to do it if I get a lot of requests, but I'm sure with a bit of knowledge of these tricks you can figure it out. And anyway, here's the beaching location. As you can see, I got a bit distracted from talking, so I actually thought the beaching location was somewhere else. But anyway, that's it for undrowning, guys. Check the forums for more details. If you've gotten this far, guys, then congratulations, you've finally learnt how to impound vehicles successfully into all 3 of the San Andreas police impounds. Now what I'm going to show you is how to actually proceed with missions and make sure that your impounded vehicles do not get discarded. The first thing you need to do is make sure that you have no contact with a car at all. Just run straight to the mission. If you have to drive a vehicle, you have to make sure that you ditch it into the water. Any body of water is fine, and make sure that it completely sinks to the bottom before you go into the mission marker. Because basically what happens is if you drive a vehicle, for some reason the impounds are more likely to discard your vehicles, even if you're saving safe vehicles in there, like aircraft, etc. So my number 1 rule with guaranteeing the success of passing missions is to not drive vehicles to the mission marker. This is really important. And after I do this mission, I'm going to show you that my helis are completely safe. The mission I'm going to be doing is the Just Business mission, which is the last mission of Big Smoke. The good thing is you can always choose which safe house you save at, so you can do this accordingly depending where your missions are. Right, so what you do now is just complete the mission like normal. Yeah, I'm just skipping through a bit because it's just, you know what happens during this mission, and this video has gone on long enough. I'm just showing you what process I go through when trying to preserve the vehicles in the police impounds.
Time to return the favor, baby. Get on.
So yeah, I'm just going to keep proceeding like normal. I'm sure you know already how this mission goes, especially if you're into the special vehicles and stuff like that.
We lost them, Smoke. Man, we better split up. I'll take it another block and dump it. Man, that was some crazy shit back there. Yeah, for sure. Listen, we can't hang around here. I'll see you later, homie. Much love, baby.
As you can see, I passed the mission. I would recommend to check all your garages to make sure your special vehicles haven't vanished, and save the game right now. Now I'm basically going to go to the police impound and I'm going to show you that the helis are safe, because I always follow the same set of rules every time I do missions. First rule is I always run to the mission marker, generally, unless it's so insanely far away, but I generally just run anyway because it gives you a better chance of not getting your vehicles discarded. My second rule is always have a backup game save all the time, so after you do missions, always save on a different file and keep those files as backups, because believe me, a lot can go wrong very fast if you don't do that, and you might end up having to force yourself to start on a save file that you last used God knows how long ago, and you do not want to resort to that. But in the long run, the more responsible you are, the better off you will be. Anyway, I'm at the police impound now. I'm going to go in using the checking method which I showed you earlier. Without a vehicle, just run straight in. Don't need to look at the impound zone on this one. Just run straight in, hug the wall, and then check if the helis are there. And in my case, the rain dance is doing its hiding thing again, so I have to open and close the impound zone to confirm the rain dance is there, and it is. So basically this means that I have successfully saved the vehicles in the police impound and completed another mission. And guys, I'm afraid to tell you that that is the end of this mega video on how to maximize vehicle storage. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you especially if you took your time and watched the whole thing from the beginning to the end, because it really is a really comprehensive guide on how to do this, and it's the biggest and most versatile project I've ever done in my life on YouTube, so I hope you gave this a good chance. And also please subscribe and like my channel for what it is. It's just a very down-to-earth, honest, enthusiastic gaming channel, and especially GTA orientated. So if you didn't get that, please subscribe to Jametone, and I'll be back with new cool videos in the future. Thanks for watching, and stay cool. Bye!